Hey, if you listen to this, that means you've been blessed by the sacraments. The sacraments provided from the Red Line Orator. My name is Ricky Zero, and in this what would be second episode, I'm going to be introducing a little bit more about myself, and I also will delve a bit into an autobiography I recently read. And from this point, we'll talk about lots more things. By we, I mean others who would join me in the future. Sometimes I'll be riding solo doing this. But in any case, I guess to start with who I am. As I said, I'm the Red Line Orator, Ricky Zero. And you're probably wondering, why are you now starting a podcast? Everybody got a podcast. Well, to be honest, if David Lee Roth can do it, I should do this with no problem. And here I am. And you probably think I'm hating on him. He alright in the Van Roth era. Yeah, he alright. I'm gonna leave it at that. So, and then Robert Plant did one. I'm like, bro, if he can do it, I can do it. I know I can do it. And I'm speaking in affirmation as I'm recording this. I'm going to be a podcaster. What's that? Use it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue because I don't do this otherwise or at all. Explore the arts. And I really need to explore creativity. And I believe that with this, it'll help me explore creativity. And in addition to that, I'll start off with saying that with an intro, if I'm uh, if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me either Twitter or you can reach out to me email. Email is redlineorator@gmail.com. The Twitter handle is redlineorator. Again, that's a redlineorator. Another reason I decided to pull the trigger on this is just the fact that I recently, not necessarily, I don't want to say got into numerology, but I got interested in it, and I found out what my life path number was, and turns out I'm a 3. Thought I'd be a 7, but I'm a 3. I guess I'm addicting to it because, like, growing up, I was incredibly shy. Shy to the point of, like, nope, I ain't talking to anybody. I'm just going to stay in my lane, mind my business. If we're in front, you always stay in your lane. So, what is a 3? What does it even mean? What is a communicator? Well, a 3, the communicator, they're from a positive standpoint, optimistic, generous, extremely generous, and a giving. I contest this, but we'll discuss that later. And also, can find positivity in anything. I guess that would make sense because, like, I'm always, not always, but when something whack or when something sucks, like, basically, I'll be like, could be worse. And kind of like, look off to the wind. Yeah. I was like, looking off to the wind just then. So, normally, like, with that positive energy, the people who are around them or who like to be around them, they start to exude or start to want those positive qualities of being more open, which still very, very, very contesting. Because, like, we'll discuss the negatives in a moment. But another positive on it is that we have a charismatic. I can't even talk anymore, and I'm trying to do a podcast. Gee, great job, Ricky. Anyway, 3s, we tend to have a charismatic mindset, charismatic personality. We exude it. Again, contest it, or maybe I'm growing into it. I don't know. I'll keep you in suspense on that one. So, also, we're great listeners, which kind of can contest, but we're very conscientious of other people's feelings and emotions. Honestly, this sounds like somebody who has a lot of a caring heart. It's not to say I don't care, only care about what interests me, what I'm passionate about, what drives me. So I'm not like automatically, oh, my heart goes out to you. No, now you got some. You got to get some. Do you have something on file with me? If you don't, that's fine. You can join the ranks, join the line, and earn your keep. No, I'm joking. It's probably a bad joke. That was pretty weird. Whatever. So I mentioned the positives that I was contesting, and now on to the negatives. Because with everything, with one side, you got to do to the other. And so people with the life path 3 tend to become withdrawn and moody, which I'm actually not going to contest it. I'm going to agree with that 100%. And we sometimes are, we sometimes make biting comments that comes off as if we're lashing out at people, and we ain't lashing out at you. Just telling it like it is, because if you don't hear from me, you gonna hear from the street. Anyway, so a bit with our comments is very biting, very sharp, and very felt, and can't help it. I'm gonna tell it like it is. So, in addition to that, kind of a very dark negative is a manic depressive, and with that, it's just you get very moody, very high and low, up and down, light and dark. You're thinking, oh man, the dark must be bad. There's nothing wrong with darkness. Darkness brings defense, keeps you on your guard. The light, everything's all exposed and you out in the open. So anyway, see, I'm contesting the negative. So, like I said, very moody can become. It end up becoming manic depressive, and it wouldn't surprise me if I become. I'm pretty confident I won't become that. That's my goal, not to become. Gotta keep everything. Gotta keep yourself moving. So, and this can sometimes draw up from not letting our creative energy flow, not letting our creative energy out, and I can say that's very true. Which is why I'm doing the podcast. I'm a communicator. I'm supposed to speak. Whoever's listening, they're listening. Or maybe I'm just hollering into a void. Who knows? Um, and another last negative is we exaggerate the truth. Well, I mean, if you tell the truth about A, B, C, and D, the rest of the alphabet doesn't matter. I won't go any forward on that one. So, just like, people are probably thinking, oh man, this is like, what's this of paganism? People think this is paganism. I mean, it's only reading, it's only knowledge, and you could believe this information whether you believe it or not. But I mean, that's the way the dice roll, especially in numerology. So, with that being said, you're probably thinking, huh, who's a celebrity that's a 3? Alec Baldwin, Chris Rock, Jamie Foxx, Rihanna, Snoop Dogg, and Fidel Castro. If you think about it, when it came to Rihanna, she started, singing and dancing very very awful. Dancing very awful. For those who subscribe to my Patreon or go to my Patreon page, they'll see probably, if I remember to post it, a GIF of Rihanna dancing back in her early Celeste days. For those listening and who love Rihanna, she's a good singer. Honestly, she's cool. She cool people. So when it comes to Rihanna, she started off as a singer. Then she used that to become an actress. And, Battleship was trash, but that whole movie was trash. It wasn't her fault. She couldn't carry that, and one actor too. So, like I said, started off as a singer, did a little acting, and in addition to that, that, used her platform that she's already on to create a clothing line or unveil a clothing line, and that a lot of people rave over. It is pretty good clothing, and it's pretty affordable. It's not a high markup. The clothing and the makeup is pretty affordable, and it's pretty cool. She's like, well, trying to make money, right? Why don't I make money the right way? Not do highway robbery. Anyway, so another famous person with the number 3 is Jamie Foxx. Now, Jamie Foxx, comedian, actor, singer. Comedian, actor, singer. Feels like I'm missing something. Musician. Let's throw that in there. Musician. And he's a game show host. Like, what doesn't he do? He keeps busy. He's like double my age, and like, he looks half my age. So, anyway, well, for all of those multifaceted things, this is what I want to say. Threes are very multifaceted. We're not just a binary 0 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 1 0 1 0. Very, hey, I got my eye on this, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep my head on the swivel, do something else. This is interesting. Let me go into this. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Oh, I can do that. I'm interested in that. So this is what I do want to bring up, and I can say this with experience. Is like, me specifically, or threes out there will pick up something, be interested in it, be like, hey, this is cool, man. Oh shoot, this is kind of whack. This ain't what I thought it'd be. Because we have in our mind, we have an idea of what we want this object, or what we want this, let's just say, instrument, to make the example easy, to become, or what we think we can make it sound like. And not everybody can sound like Eddie Van Halen or Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page or Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Anyway, it's kind of cool that Snoop Dogg is a 3. Wouldn't expect that. And if you want more on this one, or if you want to do your own life path calculator, you can go on 7thlifepath.com, and that's at the actual 7th spelled out, lifepath.com. And I'll leave it in the description. So, anyway, basically this podcast, I plan to use this to my advantage, or really the life path number thing to my advantage. And with that advantage, I'll do a podcast. Whoever listens to it, good on you. Big thumbs up. You've really ingratiated me with your listening. If you don't listen, I ain't mad at you. Go and live your life, do your thing. So moving forward, what I do want to talk about is the autobiography of very prolific person in the 20th century, Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X, this guy, he lived multifaceted. You probably think he's a 3, and I think he's like a 5 or 7 or 6 or something. Not my problem. You can Google it. Anyway, so I'm really going to review his autobiography and my opinion on it, what I think about it, and what I think should or should not be recommended. So, what I did like about it is, like I mentioned before, multifaceted, very different views or different lives he really lived. Like, it's very, very interesting, very detailed, and very, very, very what you thought would be promising. But spoiler alert, he died, killed. So, what I didn't like about the book was it can't, even though it was detailed, and I do like details, it can get overly wordy. And it's like, sometimes I'm reading and it's like, I know what you're trying to say, just hurry up and get to the period. And it's like very, 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 very wordy at times. But it was his life, and these are his words. And he has left this on earth for others to listen to. So either you can listen to it with an audio book or you can read it like I did, which is one of the books that got me back into reading. And it's more books I'm going to give a review on later in this podcast in future episodes. I don't want to spoil it, but I do want to tell you to stay tuned. So, yeah, that whole overly worded thing, like I said, it was a dislike, but again, it was his life, and those are his words, and you just read it and reflect. So it kind of sucks he couldn't finish it because it was killed. By whom? That's a conspiracy we'll delve into later. Dun 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 dun. Okay. Is it worth a read? Absolutely. 100%. Very descriptive tone in detailing experiences he lived through as a street hustler in Harlem, as a Nation of Islam follower, even really promoter of the religion. It's very descriptive, very interesting. And despite him being killed, it was a long read and it was worth a read. And yeah, he touched on a lot of stuff that was, I guess, certain certain opinions he had on things or certain facts he told. They're very passe and very of the time. And I bet if he was still alive, he'd have a lot to say. He'd be like, "What in the fuck did y'all do? What? Did you not even listen to what I said?" I think that'd be Malcolm X. He'd probably be like, "Oh, I have nothing to say. This is awful." So I did mention conspiracy, but I don't really think it's a conspiracy, but it does make quite a bit of sense. So, in the conspiracy theory waters, and honestly, I think the Nation of Islam had him killed, or were the perpetrators of the killing very muddled, and that's how they left it. And they left it like that for a reason, so they can still try to reflect and try to pinpoint who did it, what happened, why it happened, and motive, what happened. I think based on what I've been reading, it was kind of like, hey, I get it. This makes sense why you were killed. He was a gifted orator, a gifted speaker, and he has so much ethos in his rhetoric, in his speaking, that like when you compare Malcolm X to the person he followed that got him did a complete 180 in his life, Elijah Muhammad, he would promote Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad no matter what he did. However, the older he got and the more prolific he got in the 50s and 60s, he started to draw more attention and start to really shift more eyes to him. It was propagated, or it was exclaimed, or it was maintained or proclaimed rather, that he was the leader when he never was a leader. He was a follower of the Nation of Islam, and it was real Elijah Muhammad. It was his religion. He started it. He founded it. So he's like, and according to Malcolm X, what I read in his book, he said, every time I'd be out there and I would mention Nation of Islam, I will always mention Elijah Muhammad. I'll always go out there in the name of the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad. Always, always, always. I'm just a speaker. And here's the stuff to read and listen to. That's how he tried to do it, but it was always kind of spin, especially in the media, how he was it was always spin in the media as if he's the leader and how he's trying to uproot Elijah Muhammad out of the Nation of Islam and become the leader of the Nation of Islam. And that was never the case, based on what I read and a few things I've seen in documentaries. So, when it comes to speaking, being a orator, comparing Malcolm X to Elijah Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, he wasn't that much of a speaker, but he spoke enough to get Malcolm X to do a whole 180 in his life after he got out of prison. And Malcolm X, he was, like I've said it before, and I'm saying it again, he's a gifted orator. And Malcolm X, being gifted orator, gifted speaker, he started, even though he was speaking for the Nation of Islam, it started to be skewed to as if he was trying to have Elijah Muhammad live in his shadow and not Malcolm X living in Elijah's shadow. And obviously, the Nation of Islam didn't like that. Elijah Muhammad didn't like that, but it was what it was, apparently. And I guess it was enough for Elijah Muhammad and would-be perpetrators to be like, you know what, he got to get out of here. And, bodies like the NYPD and the FBI didn't make this any better because they helped propagate, that would be meaning promoting. So he helped promote, they helped promote a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of false information about Malcolm X's intentions. And the media will always spin everything he said into like do a complete. If Malcolm X did a 180, the media made it look like a 270, did a 275 sort of spin. So with that being said, true, there were men tried and convicted with jail face time, but there's still a looming shadow, looming thought that those would-be perpetrators who were prosecuted and went to jail, those weren't the guys. Those are the fall guys. So, but what I did like about the book was the fact that he went to Mecca, and when he went to Mecca, people knew who he was, and it's just that. With him, just really, because if you're a Muslim, you must go to Mecca at least once. It's a pilgrimage. Pilgrimage meaning holy journey. Holy journey meaning, hey, you got to do this for sure because it has been written. So it was cool. He got to go to Mecca, and he thought it was, based on what I'm reading, based on his words, it was the best thing since sliced bread. I wonder, was there sliced bread when he was alive? It had to be. But what about when whatever. I mean, if it was there when he was alive, then it would be there when he's dead. So, like I mentioned before, what makes this a bit more interesting was the FBI and the NYPD were very they shrugged their shoulders at the whole thing. And like, fun fact, the same day Malcolm was killed, it was like a ballroom sort of deal. It was a ballroom that can turn into, it was like a speakeasy speaking engagement sort of venue. It went from that to like a ballroom. And mind you, one of the most prolific people in the 20th century was just shot and killed here, and y'all cutting the rug. It's like, have you no shame? It was like FBI just like kind of washing hands with it and moved on to the next thing, based on what I'm reading and based on what I'm seeing in this Netflix special documentary, rather, Who Killed Malcolm X. It does explain who killed, or who may have. Let me put emphasis on that. Who may have killed him. But it's up to you to decide based on what you viewed. And so, Nation of Islam, I think overall they got a little salty. mentioned this before, that Malcolm was getting more promotion in media and in society at that time than the religious group he was with. And I believe that FBI, they used this hateful energy and spun it into something else and made it seem like Malcolm wants Elijah to live in his shadow and not the other way around. And that was never the case. That was never the case. So, a fun fact about Malcolm X, if anyone's curious, he suffered from astigmatism because he's reading low lights at night, which not supposed to do. Fair warning to everybody who's listening: please, please, please have some light, because if you just have like one focus light or focus on one beam of light, honestly you'll fry your eyes out, or no, you'll just get an eye strain. It was pretty painful, or it wasn't painful. It's trippy, confusing. So yeah, him having to read in low lights after lights went out. He read like, I think it was like a floodlight or something like that. And would read, constantly read. So basically, that was the first episode. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you think what I should work on, just shoot me an email or shoot me a message on Twitter. And like I said, the email again is redlinedorator@gmail.com. Redlinedorator@gmail.com. And my Twitter handle is going to be redlineorator. So the next book I'm reading, it's American Oligarchs, which is a very, very, very interesting book. I think I'm like a third of the way through the book, and of course I'll have an episode about this book because, man, it's like some tea. It's gossip. It's some juicy gossip. Not really. It's very I don't want to spoil it. They're very telling of certain parties that be in life and society in the modern era. Very, very interesting. Very interesting read. And when I'm done with it, I'll of course have an episode on it, and I'll let you know more all about it and what I suggest, and what I like, didn't like, and what kind of impacted me, or like, made me ponder and think. All right, interesting. So next episode was going to be on there. I'll keep you in suspense. Nah, I'm joking. Next episode is going to be about me and a guest, Chrissy Citrine, who will discuss concerts we've gone to together and our experiences with them, from choke slams to drinking. Until then, always remember to be mindful of your surroundings, no matter what.